At Scripps Ranch High School can breathe a sigh of relief today after the San Diego Unified School District vowed to expunge the records of 31 students who made a controversial twerking video that ended up going viral. The students were suspended and they were charged with sexual harassment. Here to break it all down for us are attorneys Anna Yum and Anthony Colombo. Good morning, guys. Thanks for being here. Let's get right to your opinion. When the school district reacted the way it did, when this initially came out, what were your reactions?
The Scripps Ranch School District mishandled this from the beginning. It was an extreme overreaction, and we know that in 1969 there was a Supreme Court landmark case that Tinker v. Des Moines. Students do not shed their freedom of expression when they walk through the schoolhouse gate. So they mishandled this from the beginning. It was an overreaction to this video.
I agree with Anthony and what he's saying, because I think that in and of itself, the suspension was illegal. Because if you look at the California Education Code, it's 212.5, it says that schools should resort to suspension only if there's no other way to bring about proper conduct. And so to resort to suspension right off the bat, I mean, my understanding is that some of these students had nothing on their records. They had clean records. And for them to just say, listen, because you twerked, it went viral, you made us look bad, we're going to suspend you, I thought it was illegal, and I also thought it was an overreaction.
A lot of people were shocked by what they saw when this video did come out. From my understanding, the girls that were in the video didn't even know it was released or the music that was under it or anything like that. But a lot of schools now have these zero-tolerance policies for certain acts, and so a lot of things are, I think, getting wrapped into these zero-tolerance policies. Is that something that districts might have to relook at in light of what's happened in this case?
Well, I think posting it on YouTube is without permission of the participants of the video, and having it go viral is a different question than what the school district did here, and saying that the students were engaging in sexual harassment, because that's ultimately what they were suspended for.
Yeah, and I think there's a big difference between sexual harassment as what we define it as, because if you think about sexual harassment, Bridget, you think about someone who's actually victimized, right? Someone who is a victim of sexual harassment advances, or someone conditioning certain things for sexual advances. But here, who are the victims? And I think because the school said this was a violation of sexual harassment, I think they would have to relook at how they define sexual harassment. And now, because we live in such a digital world, maybe they need to make provisions and amendments to their policies so that it is not defined as sexual harassment per se.
And when we looked at the video and when it went viral, a lot of people were talking about the fact that this dance move that maybe some of us weren't familiar with at the time, and obviously Miley Cyrus did the dance move. We've seen videos online where people...
Some girl caught on fire.
Caught on fire.
Right, twerking gone wrong.
Doing this. You know, a lot of people said this was indecent, but they also said Elvis was indecent back in the day too. Is this a generational thing that maybe that was part of the problem?
I think so. I think that's a really good point, because when Elvis was dancing, he was hip shaking, booty shaking, and everyone at that time thought that was a really bad situation. But now, no one even bats an eye. And for parents who don't know, I had to look twerking up. Hard-hitting, booty shaking, twisting and jerking. And yeah, I think that maybe it is a generational thing with Miley and, of course, that girl who caught on fire.
Now, how did since you have an inside perspective on this as attorneys, how do you think the family's attorneys were able to get the school district to come to this resolution? I know that it's confidential, the deal is confidential, but in your perspective, what do you think happened?
I think that, you know, the school district went back and reevaluated this and looked at how this would affect the students in the long term, and cooler heads prevailed.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that after they looked at the education code and thought, you know what, maybe suspension was a little overboard, overzealous in this situation, because my understanding is that one of the kids had a possibility of even going to Stanford, and some of the girls had to potentially even reveal this information before learning that they were granted a scholarship. So I think that, like Anthony said, maybe cooler heads prevailed, and maybe they realized, okay, they learned their lesson, right? Don't do anything if it's going to go viral and that you wouldn't be embarrassed about.
But it shouldn't affect their future education because of one bad move.
Exactly, or distraction.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Anna Yum, Anthony Colombo. Appreciate your perspective.
Thanks for having
that. Still ahead on Good Morning San Diego.